Well, I think it's worth trying again. Hi, I'm Drew. Welcome to the Beggars Woodshop. And yeah, we're gonna try this project again. Kind of. Let me give everyone a little rewind for those who are new or missed what's going on. Back in November, I released a video about making a jig to sharpen your jointer blades. Well, I got some criticism about certain techniques, but also while I was lying in bed, I realized, oh, wait, I need to take this video down. I've got some bad information here, particularly with sliding across the fence while we sharpen. And I've looked back since, and I swear, some things have changed on me. You ever have that happen? Either way. So, I took the video down, shot a follow-up video the next day, uploaded that directly, and yeah, we're gonna try this again, but not exactly. Due to some time restrictions I've got coming up here, I'm actually not gonna build the project, but instead I'm just gonna kind of walk you through how to build the project. So, let's go ahead, try this again, and show you the alternate solution to sharpening your blades for the jointer, rather than either buying all new brand new ones, trying to align them properly on your grinder or your whatever jig you might be using for sandpaper, or buying the accessories that Shopsmith sells. Nothing wrong with those accessories, I'm sure, but let's try some alternate solutions. So, come on in a little closer, and I'll show you how to build this lovely thing. Okay. My table a little here. Give you a little better sight. So, here's the completed jig, and let's admit, looks pretty nice. But it's not exactly correct. I used a 2x4, which I don't recommend. The only reason I did it with a 2x4 was because, well, it's all I had in stock. Your final dimensions need to be 2" by 4" by 6". So 2, well, I take that back. 4, 2, see, 2, 4, and 6. Okay, so find yourself a nice piece of wood and then head over to the table saw to start cutting it. But before you do any chopping and hacking, we gotta take a minute to talk about safety. Read the manuals that come with your power tools. The more you understand and follow those safety rules, the less likely you are to cause personal injury either to yourself or someone else. Hearing protection is a must. You don't want it to go deaf while you're still young. But of course the greatest protection you can take? Eye protection. You will be thankful the day these come in handy. Let's just hope it never does. Alright. Get started. Let's make your cuts and get back to it. Come on. Alright, now that you got that all cut out, the next thing you want to do is make the groove cut. That groove cut needs to be from the top of the wood to the bottom opening here, 3/8 of an inch. The groove depth, of course, 1/8 by 1/2 inch, as is listed in the book, and needs to be at a 45-degree angle. Now, I got some criticism about me cutting the 45-degree angle. I had my fence set up, my table tilted this way, and I had my piece of wood in just like this, and I got a little criticism about the cut, saying, oh, the cut off. I can't remember the exact comment. The video is gone, so I can't go back and look it up. But, this is the type of cut they said to make. So that is the cut I made. And what made me nervous about the cut? No riving knife. I had to make it without any kind of protection up here. No riving knife, splitter, anything, because the upper saw guard had to be removed. Because we're not making a cut where we're taking off a piece. We're just making a nice groove. So that alone was difficult. Alright. go ahead and make that cut. Got it? Good. Next, you're going to drill some holes. Woo, what fun. And it's these two holes right here. Now, these two holes are 3/8 of an inch from the edge here, and they are spaced 4 1/4 inches apart. Now, that's the only math they give you, so you'll have to take in the distance of centering and all this stuff, and etc. and so forth. Then they want you to take a screw, particularly an 1 1/2 inch number 12 round head wood screw, as well as a washer, and put them in there. Now, I used some screws that I had on site and put them into there as well. That is your jig, all built, all ready to go. But I added the handles. Now, these handles, I drilled a hole in the bottom with a small countersink, and the hole went all the way through. These pieces were actually turned on the lathe. As you can see, this one's kind of gotten loose. In fact, I only had one originally turned. They were part of a magic wand that ended up blowing up. Well, it didn't blow up, it just broke because of how thin things got, and it's not the greatest wood. So I just made a duplicate piece, and boom. Now I have some handles, and these to me give it a better grip. Alright, we've got the piece built. Now, how do we use this? Well, come on over to the Mark IV, and I'll show you what we did next. Okay. I don't have everything fully attached here, but this is on purpose. So, you would have your disc sander hooked up to the machine. Then you'd have your fence. Now, hold on. This is a Mark V 500 fence. That doesn't quite look like my fence. Well, believe it or not, the original instructions say they're using this. Explain that. Well, it's an older book. Now, if you've got a 510 or 520, which looks entirely different than this, I will be showing you what to do next. But let me show you here on the old Mark V table. There's a little Allen key, hex screw, whatever you want to call it, right here. The idea is you adjust that so that this side of the fence is a 16th, alright? And in fact, let me throw it on the screen right now. Was I right or wrong? Is it a 16th? Or is it an 8th? There it is. See right there on the screen? Yeah. It needs to be that distance further away from the disc than this end. And I actually have gone over this. I swear, when I first recorded it, it was the opposite. I don't know why. I don't know why. It just is. So once you have that locked into place, all set to go, you then turn your disc onto slow. You make sure your blade is inside here. The screws are placed down to really hold it in place. You start from the out feed and go just fast enough to the in feed. And repeat. Now, I got criticism about coming in from that end, but it's what the book says. Now, this is great, but what if you don't have what I have here? Well, let's go back over to my 520, and I will show you. Well, let's just say adjusting this monstrosity is not as easy. But there's an alternate solution. You'll notice there are grooves all on here, T-slot, I should say, which, honestly, it's the same size as the one for the miter. Huh, interesting. We're going to use that to our advantage. How? You're going to take a piece of wood. This is our sacrificial piece. Drill a couple of holes, add in some nuts and washers, and on the back you'll have some kind of T-nut that fits in here. Now, before you really tighten it down, you gotta make sure too that this end is that same distance away. So you'll have to throw some shims or some washers in there to get that perfect. Then you'll tighten it down and repeat the process of the going across under the same speed. That's how you do it on 520. 510, I admit, I'm not as familiar with the 510. However, a similar jig can be built in a different way. We've had other jigs do such a thing. Now that is the sharpening jig. And again, I would have built a brand new one and demonstrated this, but I'm on a slight time constraint and also on a lumber constraint at the moment. In fact, I wasn't even going to shoot this video, but I decided to quickly shoot this video because shooting the other video, and for the millionth time, is taking me too long. And things are getting a little chaotic around here. But that is it. That is this, and hopefully if I've explained it very well. Remember, when you're sharpening, it's just like sharpening your lathe chisels. It's that same grit, same speed, slow. And when you're bringing it through, remember, you don't go too fast and you don't go too slow. You go too slow, you're going to produce more heat. Also make sure you have a way to protect your tubes down below so that all the shavings and everything don't damage it. In fact, is it still? Yes, it is. 1 second. Yeah, here it is. Take a piece of foil, put it over a piece of wood that's wide enough to span the tubes and then some, and also make it a little longer, and that will protect it. If you want to see what this looks like when it's all being used and everything, take a look at my which video is that? Oh, it's the lathe sharpening jig. That I actually used this in the setup. Well, that is all I've got for right now, and I hope this was a good enough explanation for you to attempt to build it on your own. If you missed anything or you really want to explore it, find Power Tool Woodworking for Everyone, because it is in there. It's in the back under cleaning and sharpening. And I hope I can get my next project video properly done, which is actually, strangely enough, on the jointer. I know there's another couple of videos that have already come out, but I've been having some problems with the edit and my explanations didn't sound right. I don't know why, I'm having to reshoot portions of this video 3 or 4 times. Yeah, I don't get it. But I'm not gonna stand here and ramble. Remember, if you like this video, make sure you leave a like, subscribe, it's free, leave a comment down below on what you think, and hopefully I will see you next time right here on the Beggars Woodshop.